Hello everybody, welcome to Now You're Cooking. It's Thursday night, so we are doing a demo tonight. We have a really fun one for you. We're going to be making a tagine. Tagine is the vessel in which you cook the stew. It's also the name of the stew that you make in it. You can do all kinds of things with a tagine. You can do pork, not pork, that would be very North African. You can do beef or lamb, is very popular, chicken. Tonight we're going to do fish, and we are doing monkfish. Monkfish is a little hard to find, but hopefully it's going to become a little bit more available because it's a pretty sustainable fish. So something that we'd like to see being used more often. It is a really unattractive fish if you Google it, but the meat is delicious, and the meat comes from the back. You get two like loins of it. So I bought this at Shaw's yesterday. They've had it at Shaw's. There is a bone. Nope, that's not a bone. They've had it at Shaw's. They may have it at Hannaford. It's a little harder to come by at the independent fish markets, but try them first. Small business. We like small business since we are one. So what I've done here is I made a half a batch of chermoula, which I'll tell you about in a sec. What you want to do when you make this at home is make the full batch of chermoula and then let the fish marinate in it for about an hour or two to just get all those yummy flavors. So what is chermoula? Chermoula is basically like a pesto. It's an herb, olive oil, garlic, and lemon juice sauce, and it's really quick and easy to make. So we're going to start with some garlic. I'm making a half a batch here, so don't go by what I'm putting in here because I already made the half batch. So it's garlic, fresh garlic, and this is all going to get pureed up, but I'm just going to put it into little kind of smaller pieces there. And then I have a bunch of really yummy, if you like it, cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, just use all parsley. It won't be quite the same. But if you don't like if you don't like cilantro, you'll like it a lot better without any cilantro in it. So I've got cilantro and I've got flat leaf parsley, and that's going in there. I have some salt. I think it's 2 teaspoons for the full batch. And I have...
We'll post the full recipe.
We will post the full recipe. And I'm actually making the full recipe. It's just that I made half before so I could marinate my fish. And then here I have cumin and smoked paprika. And I have a 1/4 cup, it's going to be a half cup on the recipe, of lemon juice and some olive oil. And that goes in there. And then we're just going to whiz it up in our food processor, which is really the easiest way to do it. If you don't have a food processor, you can chop everything up or do it in a mortar and pestle, but this is definitely the easiest way to do it. And we're just going to turn that on and let it go. And I'm going to stop it and just scrape the sides down a little bit. It's actually pretty good. And it's okay if you have big chunks. It's all going to get cooked, so if you have big chunks of garlic, it's not like you're going to be biting into raw garlic at any point. So we'll just pulse that a little bit, and that looks good. You would be letting this marinate for a couple of hours. I've already let it marinate in a half batch, but we'll just pour this on here. And chermoula is great with lots of different things. You can marinate fish in it. You can use it on meat. You can use it on sandwiches. I often slice pieces of eggplant and put this on and roast it on the eggplant, which is delicious. So there's lots of things you can do with it. You can use it more or less like you use pesto. Mix it in with some sour cream or yogurt to make a dip, or mayonnaise. Just fabulous, really flavorful. Okay, so that's chermoula. Moving on to the tagine. I've already cut up my veggies and stuff. There are instructions in the recipe, which is on our website, and will be linked as soon as we finish filming. We'll link it on this video. I am using I think it's a 4-quart Emile Henry. I probably could use a bigger one with all that fish, but we'll make it fit in here and hope for the best. We may be cleaning the stove tomorrow. So this is a great one because it is made of burgundy clay, and this whole thing can just go right on the stovetop. Electric, gas, it won't work on induction because it's not metal, but it's really versatile. It can go in the oven, really awesome. Emile also makes a larger one that's a 5 or 6 quart. I can't remember exactly. If you're making a meal for a lot of people, again, this might fit better on a big one, but we'll make it fit. And then we also have this guy here, beautiful one. I believe those are made in Spain. The issue with this one is you have to have a diffuser on your stove so it's not direct heat right on the dish itself. So you want to have that diffused heat. But the Emile, like I said, can go on anything. So that's why I love it so much. So to put this together, I'm also going to make some couscous. If you're making this at home, don't start your couscous until 10 or so minutes before you are ready to eat because it cooks up really fast. And what we're doing here is I'm just going to boil some water. I put a little bit of olive oil in there, and I just threw some saffron threads in because why not? Give it a nice little flavor. And couscous is great with tagine because it'll soak up a lot of the sauce that you're going to have in here. So here we go. We are going to put in a 1/2 cup of oil. Yes, a 1/2 cup of oil. It's a lot of oil. But what happens is when it cooks, I'm going to layer it with onions. And so when this cooks, the onions are going to pretty much disintegrate and become a sauce. So it's going to be thickened. The olive oil will thicken up the sauce with the onions and all the other stuff that's going in here. So I've layered my onions. Now I'm going to put the fish right on top. And do I have a towel handy? Of course not. So I'm just going to glob the fish. If you're doing beef or lamb or chicken, you're going to put this together the same way. It's the same process. It's just with different ingredients, and you can find lots of delicious ingredients out. With other meats, I often use ras al hanout, which is a spice blend. It is really delicious, and if I had any right here, I do. It's got all kinds of good stuff in it. Cassia, which is basically cinnamon, nutmeg, rose petals, white pepper, mace, turmeric, ginger, long pepper, fenugreek, blah, 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 blah. Lots of stuff in it, and it is really aromatic and delicious. And this is great with chicken, with beef, with lamb. Highly recommend it. Another awesome product from Griffin Ridge, whom we love very much. We also use their saffron and paprika and cumin in here. Enough of the sales pitch. Next, I have some vegetables. This is a zucchini, which I have cut into long, thin pieces. And I'm going to basically make a teepee out of my vegetables. So kind of mirroring the shape of the lid here. And it's going to be kind of a tight fit, but we're going to do it anyway. So there's my zucchini. I've got some red pepper. You can pretty much use any kind of veggies you want. You want vegetables that will kind of hold up because it's going to be cooking for about 30 to 45 minutes or so. My water's almost boiling there. And then I have carrots. You could probably cut your carrots a little thicker than this, but I had really skinny carrots. Okay, so there's our little teepee, and then we have, and the lid will hold it in place, so don't worry too much if it's falling apart. I have preserved lemon, which you can make yourself. It takes about 3 weeks to make. It's basically just lemons and salt, and you want an airtight container. And we can talk about that sometime. I'm not going to tell you the whole recipe right now, but you can find it online. They're super easy to make. You just want something that's got a really good solid cover on it, because if you don't, you have to turn it over, up and down and back and forth to get all the juices going before you put it in the fridge for a few days, and you don't want something that's going to be leaking. So when you have your preserved lemon, you're actually taking the inside out, where all the juice is, and you're eating, this is the peel and the pith. So you take this out, you rinse it off, and then you julienne it, and that's just going to go on here, just around the fish and the veggies. And I am also going to put in some pitted green olives. These don't have any, they're not stuffed with garlic or with pimento or anything. They're just plain old green olives. And those go on there. And then last, but certainly not least, is the water. You want to make sure you put the water in at the side, not pouring it over the top, because you don't want to wash the chermoula off the fish. You want it to stay on there while it's cooking. So this is just going to go in the side here. And that's going to mix with the onions and with the olive oil that's already in there. And thank you for the towel, Heather. And it's going to help make it a thicker sauce. It's not going to be like a cream sauce. It's not going to be thick like that, but it's thicker than just plain water. You could also use a little bit of, instead of water, you could use fish base or a fish stock, but you want something light, not something that's super flavorful. And because monkfish is a pretty solid fish, it's not a really flaky fish, it's going to hold its shape pretty well here. If you can't find monkfish, you can use halibut, although that's pretty hard to find this time of year. You could try swordfish, but it might be too steak-like. I'm not sure. It'd be a great mix, but you could try it. So that's basically that. We're going to turn the heat on, and we're going to bring this to a boil. Force our lid on there. We're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to turn it to a simmer. On this particular stove, it's really hard to get a low enough heat, so what I'll probably do is stack up a couple of the grids here so that it's simmering and not boiling away. You do want to keep a little bit of an eye on the water, the moisture content in there, because you don't want it to burn on. You want there to be plenty of liquid, not too much, but plenty of liquid in there. And you don't want to open this too often, although it's going to smell so good, especially if you're using Ras El Hanout. It's going to smell so good, you're going to want to let it go into the air and so your guests can taste it. So speaking of which, another reason why I love doing this for dinner parties, any kind of tagine, is you put it together, you put it on the stove, and you move on. You can prep your other side dishes and stuff. You can have your couscous ready to go. Perfect timing. So the water's boiling, you turn it off, completely off. You pour your couscous in, shake it around so it's all covered, but you don't want to actually stir it, and then just cover it and forget about it. So that's just going to sit there. It's going to absorb all of that hot water, and it's basically cooking the couscous, which is a pasta. Believe it or not, it's a tiny, tiny little pasta. And that's going to be great with the tagine. And so we have a couple of wines that we recommend. The first one, this one is a Slovenian wine. It has contact with the peel, with the skins. So it's a little bit murky in there, but it is absolutely delicious. Don't worry about the murk. It's just part of being a natural wine. These guys are both from Devonish. They carry a lot of natural and organic and biodynamic wines, which is really awesome. So we have the orange wine from Slovenia, which you don't think of as a wine country, but try it out. It's really good. And then a Vinho Verde, which is from Portugal. Also a really nice light wine to drink with your fish. We have this book, the whole reason we're doing this tonight. This book just came out right before Christmas or right after Christmas. It's from Maine Coast Fishermen's Association, whom we love and we've collaborated with a couple of times. And the recipe for the monkfish is in here. I don't know what page it's on. Would have been great if I just opened right up to it. But there's all kinds of great recipes in here.
Go back one page.
Did I just miss it? There it is, Monkfish Tagine. So it's on page 30 and 31. So this is a really great book, and it's helping the Maine Coast Fishermen's Association that works with fishermen to help to keep it sustainable here in Maine on the coast, and they do a lot of great things with our local fishermen. Is that it? Next week we're going to be making minestrone. Last night we did a really fun demo with AARP, made a big pot of minestrone soup, which is a really healthy, really robust, and delicious soup. Really quick to put together, wonderful weeknight dinner. If we get our act together, we'll also make some honey wheat rolls, which I had some leftover dough, so we're attempting some focaccia here. It actually looks pretty good. It might be kind of dense, but it'll be delicious, about ready to come out of the oven. So join us next week for whole wheat rolls, whole wheat honey rolls, and minestrone soup. And go out and find yourself some monkfish. If you can't find monkfish, try halibut. If you can't try halibut, do chicken. Actually, this recipe with chicken would be absolutely delightful too. And I think that's it. Thanks for joining us tonight. I hope you have a great night. Stay safe and well, everyone. See you next week.